We begin tonight with President Biden on the world stage, claiming a leadership role on tackling global climate change. Just moments ago, the president speaking from Rome in a press conference, saying that G20 leaders made progress, agreeing to stop funding coal-fired power plants in poorer countries and making a commitment to carbon neutrality by mid-century. But many are blasting G20 leaders for not doing enough. The president criticizing Russia, China, and Saudi Arabia for failing to attend the talks, saying an all-hands-on-deck effort is needed. Now all eyes on Glasgow as the president and more than 100 other world leaders attend the UN climate change conference. The president heads there with his domestic climate proposals still stalled here at home, but he remains optimistic it'll get done. Our chief White House correspondent Cecilia Vega leads us off tonight from Rome with the president.
Tonight, as President Biden ends his trip in Rome and looks ahead to Glasgow for what's being called the most consequential climate conference ever, he and other leaders of the world's richest countries are under fire for not doing enough to stop global warming. The president on the defensive, calling it an all-hands-on-deck effort and blasting Russia and China, the world's biggest polluter, for failing to show up.
There's a reason why people should be disappointed. I think you're going to see we've made significant progress, and more has to be done. But it's going to require us to continue to focus on what China's not doing, what Russia's not doing.
His infrastructure plan directs $555 billion to fighting climate change, but it does not punish energy suppliers that fail to make the switch to clean energy, something experts say is needed in order to meet the president's goal of cutting greenhouse gas emissions in half by 2030.
Can you stand here today and say to the world that you definitively will still meet that goal?
Yes. I can. I don't think you're going to need any punitive action to get people to step up.
It's the first time these world leaders have gathered in person since the pandemic began, and they are facing a number of other challenges, including battling COVID-19, now close to claiming 5 million lives around the world, and that supply chain crisis crippling the global economy. The president, who campaigned on rebuilding relationships with allies and making America a reliable partner, now saying America was welcome back to the global negotiating table.
Everyone sought me out. They wanted to know what our views were. The United States of America is the most critical part of this entire agenda.
And in one of the most emotional moments since taking office, the president reflecting on his relationship with Pope Francis, America's second Catholic president, at the center of a raging debate back home over his support of abortion rights. Conservative U.S. Catholic bishops efforting a move to deny politicians like him communion. The president telling reporters that in his closed-door meeting, the Pope told him he was a good Catholic and should continue to receive the sacrament.
What did it mean for you to hear Pope Francis, in the wake of this, in the middle of this debate, call you a good Catholic? And did what he tell you, should that put this debate to rest?
There's always been this debate in the Catholic Church. When I lost the real part of my soul, when I lost my beau, my son, he knew what a man he was. And it had such a cathartic impact on his children and my wife and our family.
And Cecilia Vega joins us now live from Rome. Cecilia, the president facing certainly a lot of questions about his domestic agenda, stalled in Congress and really hanging over this overseas trip. But today he seemed optimistic. It sounds like he thinks it'll pass this week.
Yeah, Lindsay, he does. He's sounding much more optimistic than he has in the past. He does believe this is going to pass, and Democratic leaders on Capitol Hill say they are looking at a vote as possibly as early as Tuesday on this. But the reality about this one, the White House wanted a win before the president landed here in Europe. They didn't get that. It's looking more likely that he'll get that win when he is back home in a few days.
And Cecilia, another headline from the White House tonight. Press Secretary Jen Psaki testing positive for COVID. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Lindsay, this is just coming in right now. She hasn't been on this trip. Of course, that is unusual for the press secretary to not be here. She didn't come because she said that she had a family emergency. She just released a statement a few minutes ago. Members of her household, she said, tested positive for COVID. She just found out today that she, too, had tested positive. That's after testing negative for the past 4 days. She says she last saw President Biden on Tuesday. She says they were outside. They stayed more than 6 feet apart. They were wearing masks. Lindsay, she does say that she is vaccinated and experiencing only mild symptoms, that she will be back to work in person after her 10-day quarantine. Lindsay.
Cecilia, thanks so much. And now I want to bring in ABC's Maggie Rulli, who's in Glasgow ahead of that major climate summit. And Maggie, world leaders no doubt are under tremendous pressure to deliver here.
Yeah, Lindsay, the pressure here has never been higher, and it was really incredible on our way here just to see the sheer number of people making their way to Glasgow from all over the world. You know, nearly every country is represented. Hundreds of heads of state, well-known activists like Greta Thunberg, other industry leaders, they're all saying that this is one of the most significant moments in the climate crisis. And Lindsay, just today, the World Meteorological Organization came out with an urgent report that says the planet has reached record levels of greenhouse gas and heat that has propelled us into uncharted territory. Now, the goal of this conference is to follow up on promises made in the Paris Climate Accord, something President Biden reinstated the U.S. into earlier this year. But as Prime Minister Boris Johnson said just earlier tonight, now, years later, many of those promises feel empty and hollow. And now is the time for real action. Lindsay?
Maggie, thanks so much. And a programming note, David Muir will be leading our coverage of the Climate Summit from Glasgow tomorrow with a special edition of World News tonight, including an in-depth report from David, the only American network journalist on the ground in southern Madagascar, where they're on the brink of the first famine driven entirely by climate change. He is with the aid workers as they race to save children in dire need. His report, The Children of Climate Change, kicks off an unprecedented month-long series from ABC News on the climate crisis around the world. Be sure to tune in to that.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.